Welcome back to the Coins and Connections podcast, where we explore all things books, business, and bullshit. My favorite bees. Now let's get into today's episode. Episode 43. I am back again on this lovely Friday. So a lot of people hide their failures until they are successful, and they share this compelling story about how they got here. Well, I like sharing my failures along the way to let everyone know that no matter where you are in your business, failure happens. Sometimes more than you would like, and sometimes every day, which tends to feel like months of failure. But if you take those lessons and apply it to a new solution and change your mindset, failure can be such a positive experience.
So I get asked a lot, how did you start your podcast? Where do I begin? How can I start a podcast? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. You know, I'm down with the free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like, ain't nobody listening yet and you making money. How dope is that? It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting on? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Today I'm going to talk about my drop shipping failure with eBay. I'm going to talk about what went wrong, and then I'm going to talk about what it taught me. 2011, I was drop shipping Hermes belts, or Hermes, however you would like to pronounce it. I was drop shipping those belts from AliExpress to eBay buyers, but instead of shipping it directly to the customers from AliExpress, like most people did, but again, a lot of people wasn't doing this, I took the extra step of getting it shipped to my home and then repackaging it and shipping it out to the customer. That took on average about 15 to 20 days to get it to the customer. There was not a lot of information out about drop shipping. I don't think I really watched YouTube videos to find out about drop shipping. It was more so, I think I read blog posts or articles at that time. So again, I was ahead of my time with this method I was using. I also was able to get the concept of how to find a manufacturer and getting a product that consumers wanted. So out of this, I was able to learn how to find trending products and a consumer who wanted it and who would pay for it, who would pay the price that I was putting it up. Even though these were inspired Hermes belts, they weren't like the real deal. They were, I forgot what we used to call them back then, inspiration, imitation, or faux. I can't remember the exact term, but there was a term that you needed to use so that you wouldn't get like a bad mark stating that this was a real item. You had to let them know that it was inspired or but not really imitation. I can't remember what the word was, but that's what you had to do back then. So there were people who were serial buyers on eBay, and I also shopped often on eBay, so I understood the platform. Let's fast forward to 2016 before I fully opened Coins and Connections. I decided to open up this Chihuahua drop shipping store that sold earrings, necklaces, scarves, and a few doggy outfits. I also used Shopify for this along with Orblo to connect for drop shipping. So the reason why I chose Chihuahua, because I now have had a Chihuahua for 8 years, and I understand the connection with people with their pets. So you always want to go into a niche where there is passion for something. So there are people who rescue chihuahuas. There are people who rehome chihuahuas. There are people who breed chihuahuas. And I know most of this because I am also a chihuahua pet owner. So this was perfect. And like, I watched this Facebook ads class tutorial by Arsha Jones and Lamar Tyler. I watched it on a Saturday. I took so much notes. And then by Sunday, I had the Facebook page up and I had the Shopify store loaded and I was running an ad. And within 12 hours, I was awakened out of my sleep by my first ever cha-ching on a store, which was Shopify. And that took me about 2 days to create a store. And within hours, I had my first sale of learning how to run an ad. So that's when I knew I was on to something. But I will explain the rest of my failure lessons in the next segment. Every single time something good comes, I hopped on it. Or something great happened, I hopped on it. My biggest failure to date has been my consistency. So because I'm super spontaneous and creative and it's hard to just sit on an idea, I always feel like I have to do something with it. It took me until now, present day, which is 2019, that I needed to always just stay in my lane. So this year is what I decided to do was basically I practiced my consistency with different things. So being consistent in my Facebook group, journaling consistently, sending a newsletter every month, and just showing up, or even being consistent with deactivating to keep my peace. All of these things help me to see, if I stay consistency, how I could reap the benefits and how there was a reward for just staying true, consistent, and in my lane. I also realized that if I had stick with one thing and kept the momentum for that one direction, I would be so much farther in my business. I also realized that some of the people who started around the same time as me are so much further along. The noticeable key difference is they stayed in their lane. They stuck to that one thing, and that's why their business is flourishing. Not lowering myself or anything, because I have achieved great things within the past 3 years, but also if I was consistent with one thing, I would be so much farther along. So I tried to scale and branch out too fast. And somewhere in between, my message got blurry. I was back and forth to helping people and then trying to sell my products. Even though both made me money, they both slowed and went into different directions that basically led me to burn out, to be frustrated. And that's another reason I had to get back to me and what's my everyday life. What do I see? What do I live? Who do I relate with? And that's why I am where I am as of right now in my business. Deciding to focus on helping military spouses, which I am one, start a POD business, which I do, became super clear to me. I'm ready to just take on this market and help spouses who yearn for something more and who needs just something for themselves. Because being a military spouse, sometimes your identity can get lost into your soldier, the one who you are supporting, the one who you sacrifice for. Even in your kids, if you have kids, sometimes the lines get blurred and you don't recognize yourself anymore. So I just want to be able to help someone do something for themselves to just help them just have that little piece of you. And starting a print on demand business is perfect because it PCSs with you. It's online. You don't have any tangible products. You don't have to ship anything. You just have to have some A1 customer service and a clear message to provide something to your audience that they will love just as much as you do. So if you find yourself all over the place, I want you to just take that one thing from 2019 and focus solely on that, and only scale when you see a need. Slow and steady still wins the race. And just to bring this up, I actually had a blog called Dear Military Spouse years ago, in I would say around 2016 as well. And this podcast was even supposed to be named Dear Military Spouse. So I'm just now getting back to where it kind of all started. So if you do know a mil spouse, a military spouse, doesn't matter the branch, tell them to check out this podcast, and also, follow me on social media, because I want to help a military spouse start a print-on-demand business. So until next time. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing. Don't forget to leave a review. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@cinquantacoxsmith.com. Feel free to visit my websites, www.cinquantacoxsmith.com and www.coinsandconnections.com. You can follow me on Instagram at cinquantacoxsmith and at coinsandconnections. Feel free to visit my free Facebook group. It's called Books Plus Business Support Network. And I love you more than I love this podcast. Peace.